Well, it's hard to believe that the holidays are already upon us, and if you're looking for a nice little gift idea, look no further than this wine box that I made here. So we've got a really elegant little box, and in fact it is modeled after a Japanese toolbox. You may have seen in the background of the show, this little guy here. My buddy Gazenkt sent this to me, and it's just a little miniature version of a Japanese toolbox. It's a classic form. Very cool design. I've always been kind of intrigued with it, so I figured let's apply that to an elegant way to gift a wine bottle. And if I say so myself, I think the box is probably worth more than the bottle of wine that comes in it. You just take the pin out here, lift this guy up, and you can take the lid off. And inside is just a gorgeous display, beautiful bottle of wine, and some wood shavings to really set it off. So if you'd like to build one, keep watching because I'm going to show you how to do it. Boop. This is a great project for consuming shorts and scraps from other projects. You might even recognize some of this material from the hard wax oil finishing test that we did recently. The walls of our box will be 3/8 of an inch thick, so I should be able to get 2 pieces from each board. The lid and a few other parts will be made from 1/4 inch stock, and I should be able to get 3 of those from a single board. Thankfully, this 4/4 material I have is pretty thick at a full inch, so I still have some material to joint and plane after the resaw. I'm actually making 3 of these boxes at once, so that's why I have so much material here. Everything is cut to width at the table saw and then cut to length at the miter saw. Now we'll make some simple finger joints. I scribe the baselines on the box sides to help prevent tear out. At the table saw, I'll load up the dado blade and expose a fresh section of my sacrificial fence. It didn't take me long to realize that I'd need a clamp since the dado was pushing the workpiece up. Not good. The key to making this kind of cut safe is awareness. I double check the position of the clamp every single time, and I double check to make sure that the clamp is secure. Only then do I make the cut. I'm doing the short ends of the box first. Right now, the positions really aren't critical as long as I make sure that I cut all of my parts at each setting. The layout can be whatever you think looks good. Now for the long sides, I'll first transfer my finger locations to a piece of scrap and get ready to make some test cuts. At the saw, I'll move my stop and try to get close to the line. To actually test this fit, I need to remove some of the extra material with the bandsaw. And all I'm looking for here is the spacing on the first end cut, the goal being a nice flush edge. Now I can feel a tiny lip there, and if you look closely, you can see that I made a conservative cut. So now we'll sneak right up to that cut mark and test again. And that's what we're looking for, nice and flush. So now I can make that cut on all of my long pieces on both sides. So it's 2 cuts on each end. That's one of the advantages of a symmetrical design like this. Now, for the next cut, I just move my stop and then sneak up on the perfect fit. And the stop position is set so that I can make a cut, flip the piece, and make a second cut to get the hole that I need. Now keep in mind, this was just a last-minute ask for Nicole, and I wanted to knock these out in about a day. So the method I'm using for the finger joints is a little bit brute force. Ideally, setting up some sort of jig or a custom sled would yield better, repeatable results. Any pieces that are a little too snug get cleaned up with a chisel. And now a quick word from our sponsor. You guys probably know by now that we're huge fans of Duluth Trading Company. They literally have me covered all year long with favorites like the Flapjack Fleece Line Shirt Jacket. Is it a shirt? Is it a jacket? You decide. But it's warm and comfortable, paired with the Alaskan Hard Gear Pants, and I'm ready to scoop the poop off my parking lot. That's an inside joke for those of you who follow me on Instagram. How about the Flex Fire Hose Cargo Work Pants and Alaskan Hard Gear Midnight Sun Lightweight Shirt? Not only comfortable, but it keeps me looking good when I dump my sawdust on my neighbor's property. His problem now. And check out my 4-year-old Fire Hose flannel-lined action jacket and Duluth Flex Dry-on-the-Fly cargo pants. 4 years of use and abuse and still looking good, even with some glue and finish stains. And let me tell you, these are the only work pants that won't choke off my boys when I'm doing my morning back stretches.
All right, my balls feel great.
To limber up before a hard day of work. And obviously, we can't forget Nicole. She loves her crew neck sweatshirt and rougher puffer hooded down vest. And she wants me to let you know, for some reason, that it has pockets.
Ooh, I got a pocket here too.
And after moving to sweaty Missouri, I have to tell you that Duluth's Armachillo underwear were a real game changer in summer. But in winter, I'm more of a dang soft guy, which I can't show you because this is a family show, but here's something to wet your whistle. Now, speaking of underwear, my dog Abby has a particular affinity for Duluth underwear. And when she's not chewing my underwear, she spends her time whipping her perfect dog toy around. This thing is a year old, and it's just now looking like it needs to be replaced. So we got her a new one.
There she goes.
And of course, we didn't leave out Dougie. And I'm hoping maybe this will keep Abby's pointy little nose out of the laundry for a while.
What are you doing?
So head to duluthtrading.com and be sure to use our coupon code that you can find in the description for additional savings. Thanks for supporting the show, Duluth. The bottom panel will go into a 1/4-inch groove, so we'll need a stopped groove on the small pieces and a through groove on the long ones. This is done to make sure that the groove isn't visible from the outside of the box. So let's do a little dry assembly, just to make sure that there are no surprises. Before we can do the glue up, I'd like to smooth the outside faces. This is actually serving two purposes. One, I'm obviously getting the boards prepped for finish and removing any mill marks. Second, it's producing a super nice gossamer walnut shaving that I'm going to be able to keep as packing material for the wine. I plan on leaving the fingers proud by 1/16 of an inch, but you could sand them flush if you wanted to. But since they will be exposed, we'll need to give them a little extra treatment and a little bit of love. How's it going?
All right.
How's your day so far? Good? Do you have a friend? Do you have a best friend?
What?
Does he have a big coat too?
Did you get a lot of homework? Huh?
It's really zoomed in, so that's gonna look real blurry. A high grit sanding, a light pillowing, and an easing of the edges will make a huge difference in how these look after assembly. By the way, you're going to see me use the crap out of a single piece of backside sandpaper in this build. The stuff is just killer for hand sanding details, and you can get yours at backsideSandpaper.com. For the assembly, I'll be using Titebond hide glue. I really love this stuff for two main reasons. One, it gives me plenty of working time, and B, cleanup is done with water. Now I'm going to assault this thing with clamps to make sure that all of my joints are closed, so I won't have easy access, but normally I'd get in there with a wet rag and clean up the glue. But in this case I have no choice but to do the cleanup afterwards. Thankfully, a stiff brush, some hot water, and a paper towel is all I need, and the glue is as good as gone. Dude. No, not for you. Freaking camera dropping. Oreo, you're supposed to catch these errors. No, not for you. Get out of there. Get out of here, you dork. Get out of here. Again, I know I'm biased because I now sell this stuff, but guys, this sandpaper rocks. See how good it is at sanding those fine, crisp edges? You gotta try it. So for the lid to work properly, we need 2 pieces of 1/4-inch stock glued onto the ends. If this were something more than a gift box, I'd likely drive some pins in there too, but I honestly don't see these things being opened and closed all that often. Now for the lid. There's a cross support piece that's added to one side. The placement here is pretty important, and we'll have some measurements and a basic plan for you, so it's all there if you want to build one of these yourself. The glue I'm using now is Titebond's Speed Set glue. I was taking my time before, and now I'm in a rush. Perfect for projects like this when you're trying to move quickly and you don't want to wait around for glue to cure. On the other end of the lid, we're going to have a wedge, which is part of the locking system that holds the lid shut. I'll set a shallow angle on my bevel gauge and transfer that angle to 2 pieces of 3/8 inch stock. The angle isn't super critical, you just want it to be the same on both pieces. I'll cut the excess carefully at the bandsaw and then use a block plane to smooth the edges back to my lines. Now I'll drop the end of the lid that we already glued into the box until it hits the stop. With my 2 wedges held together by hand in their final position that I want them, which is lined up with that other stop, I can take a pencil and mark the bottom wedge position. And that's where I want to glue that first wedge onto the lid. Once dry, you can see how the wedge system works. Now, I jumped the gun a little bit here and finished one of the boxes, and I kind of forgot that Nicole still needed to do the laser engraving. So the paper that she usually uses to protect the material doesn't really want to stick. So we're going to have to use blue tape instead.
That sticks. Thank goodness for blue tape. All right. Line it up, lock it down, my handy dandy thingamabobs.
Unfortunately, wherever the blue tape had a double layer, the laser said, no thank you, and we have some holidays. But we did remedy that with the other 2 boxes, and for this one I simply built a new lid. And here you can get a look at what it looks like when it's done properly. For the finish, I'm using polymerized walnut oil. I love the fact that this company puts theirs in a squeeze bottle. It just makes it super easy to get the oil where you need it, and it makes some fun noises. This type of natural oil is very easy to apply. I just wipe on a thin coat, making sure that the surface looks even, and then wipe off the excess after a few minutes. For a gift box like this, 1 coat is probably enough. If you have the luxury of time, 2-3 coats would be even better. After the finish dries, Nicole gives us an example of what this thing is going to look like. By the way, this particular bottle of wine was a gift from someone, so if that someone is watching, I don't want you to think that we're giving it away. That's ours. This was just the only bottle of wine that we had access to in the shop.
I need that piece.
Just like that.
Woo!
All right, so there you have it. A beautiful wine box and a great way to flex some of our woodworking skills and maybe show off a little bit by giving a great gift. And if you make one, I highly encourage you to make at least 3. Really batch it out so that you have a few of these, because as soon as people see them, they're going to want one. All right, so thank you for watching, everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thanks to Duluth Trading Company for sponsoring this episode. We'll see you next time. Abby, these are not yours.
Show me your pockets.
Pockets? You like that? How does that make you feel?
Ooh, I got a pocket here too.